Hello everyone, this is the bed of Storpy. It's comfortable, look, comfortable. I thought I'd do a vlog from here because, well, I'm doing vlogs from everywhere. It's kind of weird having a camera right there on my bedside table, but there you go. Vlog. This is going to be completely uncut and unedited, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Just me yakking. But that's why you're all subscribed, isn't it? Have I got something there? No. So, I asked you all to give me things to talk about, like whether I should talk about just topics or whatever. And I've chosen one by... it's Antonio, and I say Antonio because it's got two A's at the start, so Antonio Acosta. And he said, I'd like to hear you talk about the world's view of Americans, specifically your view. So, my view of Americans and what I think of Americans in general and what I think the world thinks of Americans. So that would be interesting. By the way, if you've seen my latest amnesia video, you'll notice that I've had a bit of a trim. It's about time I had a trim. It was getting annoying, and as badass as it looked, it's about time for a bit of a change. So, yeah, Americans. Americans, where to start? Right, well, I suppose I'll start with my view of Americans, and then we'll come to the world's view, and then I'll come to sort of draw it all together. Americans... first of all, I need to say about how I don't think you can really class a group of people into one. I think, obviously, there are so many different people. I mean, people will often say, you know, people will often have stereotypes like the Germans have no sense of humour. I know that's not true because, yes, there are some stiff, uptight Germans who don't have senses of humour, but I know personally loads of Germans who are absolutely hilarious and have a brilliant sense of humour. So that's, you know, that's like that. And also it's the same thing, you know, there are lots of British people who have absolutely no sense of humour as well, me being one of them. I mean, obviously I have no sense of humour at all. But, you know, that's why I think you should be careful when you're starting to say, you know, Americans in general. But, you know, there are some stereotypes that most Americans will live up to, or most of a certain culture or race will live up to. For me, I think Americans are pretty brilliant. So much. They're almost like the centre, not the centre of the world, but they're almost like the most diverse and one of the most advanced countries in the world. And part of that has to do with being so huge. I think Americans, to me, if I think of the word American, okay, I'm going to ramble a bit, sorry. If I think of the word American, I think of a person, like usually, well, guy or girl, doesn't really matter, who enjoys life, enjoys sports, or enjoys watching sports, getting involved in stuff, quite strongly opinionated, sometimes quite loud, I won't lie. My stereotypical view of an American is that they're quite loud people, not in a bad way, and again, that's not every American, of course, it's just a stereotypical idea. What else do I think? I think they're great people in terms of advancing technology and science and all that kind of thing. I think that America, it's got its politics, like some of its politics is quite old, and it relies too much on a constitution that is set in stone and you can't even think about changing it, kind of thing. There are lots of things like the American prison and judicial system, I think, I won't go into that because it takes too long, but they're majorly flawed as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying the British do it any better. I don't think any country really does it very well. and I don't have a solution, but I don't think the Americans get that right. And what else do I think of Americans? Okay, back to basics. I think they're quite generally fun-loving. Not necessarily anything bad, to be honest. I mean, like I said, if there's anything bad, it would be that they can be quite loud and can be quite opinionated and voice those opinions like so. But no, personally, in my view, I do love Americans. I think they're great. I think most of I've looked at the statistics on my channel, on both this one and the Storpy main channel, and I think about 2/3 of all of my views are from Americans. Then Canada comes next, and the UK comes after that, and then Sweden and Germany, that kind of thing. But I think, yeah, Canada's only probably about 15-20%, whereas America's like 60% or something like that. You know, it's ridiculously high. So I've got a lot to owe to Americans. I think they're fantastic people, and I think that it would be silly to, you know, say anything otherwise. So yeah, I think I'm a big fan of Americans, and those that I've met have always been quite good fun. They've always been really interesting to talk to, and I'd love to visit America. I never have done, so that would be really great. The world's view of Americans in general, I mean, it depends what you're wanting to know. I've forgotten your name, was it Antonio? Something like that, sorry, I've forgotten. But yeah, so the world's view, I think obviously there's all the stereotypes, like there's the real stereotypes, which again are mostly untrue, like Americans are obnoxious, Americans are rude, Americans are too blindly patriotic, I think is one of them. Americans are all fat, Americans are all stupid, Americans are all one-track minded. Please, no one remix this and take any of this out of context or I'll kill you, alright? Because that's not fun. But no, I think that's all the sort of negative stereotypes of Americans. But you've also got the positive stereotypes, like they're pioneering, they're motivated, they're culturally diverse, that, you know, all that sort of thing. So I think there are lots of stereotypes about Americans. And in terms of the world's view, I think a lot of people hate America, and I'm not sure why. I think it's probably because they're kind of like the big kid at school kind of thing. They're a big country, they've got a lot of power, they're very successful, and, you know, speaking English as a first language is majorly helpful in the world. You know, if you're an English speaker, I'm not saying this is rightly so or whatever, but it just seems to be the case. If you're an English speaker, you immediately have some sort of, I don't know, it always seems to have been like that. I don't know, like the English seem to have got all the way around the world and back again kind of thing. They just seem to have spread the language absolutely everywhere. So for some reason, I think everyone hates people who speak English in a way. I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just rambling. I told you I'd ramble. If I've offended anyone, I apologise, but I don't really. And otherwise, the world's view of Americans, I think, you know, it's generally positive, but there could be some negatives in there as well. And lots of people, I know people say the French hate the Americans. I'm not really quite sure why. I'm sure it has something to do with World War II or something. But either way, I think overall, I think Americans are great, and obviously, like I say, lots of you are American. So thank you so much for being there and being American, because you're all fantastic. And what I would like is for people to this video, I'd like you all to submit video responses about the English, because obviously I'm English. I'm about as English as they come. I've traced back my family roots, my family history, family tree thing to, like, I think 3 or 4 generations, and not once has it been anywhere else than England. So I am the English, as it were. So what I'd like you to do is to do a video response giving your opinion of the English, or the British if you know. Britain is a collection of countries. It's Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England. It's the island. The United Kingdom is the same, but without the Republic of Ireland. It's all very complicated. But what I wanted to do is to do about England. What do you reckon about English people? And yeah, let me know. Don't worry about offending me. I'm just really interested. If you say you hate all English people and you think we're tea-sipping, limp-wristed, fannying about ponces, then tell me. But no, go on. Do it as a video response. I'd be really interested to see. Even if it's only a few seconds, just let me know. Anyway, I've rambled on for nearly 11 minutes, so if any of you are still listening, I feel very sorry for you. And I think it's time to go to sleep in my comfortable, warm, happy bed. So I bid you all good night. Bye. Lol, I've got to turn the camera off and I don't know how. Where is it?